seemed to me, has been that the wrong choices have been made. The wrong decisions have been taken by someone who either said, it's not my job to step out there and face the mob, or somebody who said, well, I'm really mad and I'm really pissed off, so I'm going to join the mob, when deep down inside they probably knew better. I think it was Edmund Burke who said, this is a paraphrase, but said that for good men, for evil to succeed, all that is necessary is for good men to do nothing. And I think that's true. I think it's very true. And that, to me, is where history supports the concept that you have to make decisions and you have to take responsibility.
Moving to a slightly different area, working with another author, co-authoring can either be an amazing experience or an amazingly horrible experience. You've obviously co-authored with a number of other writers. How's it been for you?
Overall, I've enjoyed the experience. The biggest problems that I've experienced have come when the two writers have markedly different production rates. Because it's very difficult to work on a project and to coordinate it and to be passing stuff back and forth when you really need to be done with it and on to something else. Okay? I think that it is much, much easier to collaborate now than it was even as recently as 1989. When Steve White and I did Insurrection, we had to snail mail chapters back and forth. When Eric Flint and I did 1634 The Baltic, we were flipping entire electronic copies of the novel back and forth with colored highlighted sections saying, you know, do you really want to do it this way? Or, I've used one of your characters, this is what I had him do, is this okay? You know, kind of thing. The degree of flex available now is, and of coordination, is much greater. Eric is a very, very, very comfortable person to collaborate with. He is much calmer about it, and frankly, he's a lot more willing to let stuff out of the shop before. You know, it's like, was it Orson Welles? We will sell no wine before it's time. You know, I'm more of the I haven't finished with that yet. You know, kind of thinking. But with Eric, that's never been an issue. It's never been an issue with John, either. I haven't done as much collaborative work with Steve White since, oh gosh, well, since the Shiva option. I don't think we've done one at all since the Shiva option. And when he and Shirley Meyer started the new Starfire series, I had told Steve that I just did not have the time and the additional open slot on my schedule, and I had told him that he should feel free to go ahead. The original plot for the novels we worked out together at the same time that we did Insurrection. And I have to be completely honest, I haven't read the novels. And one reason I haven't read the novels is because I didn't help write the novels, and they're from that whole thing there, and I didn't want to get in and say, no, I should do it this way, you know, kind of thing. Can't do that when you didn't write it, you know. But he wanted a collaborator, and I think that it was, I think Jim Bain paired him with Shirley. And from what I've heard, it's worked quite well. John and I right now are hanging fire on the next Prince Roger novel. And the problem there is that we are both so off doing other things that we don't have time to get back together on it effectively. And Linda Evans and I are kind of hung between stools on the third book in the Hell's Gate series. And that is my fault. I have just got so much stuff on my... Well, actually, I suppose theoretically Prince Roger is my fault. Although, I think that John has been just a little bit too glib about telling people, take that up with David. I would never think of saying, take that up with John. However, I think it would not be... Well, anyway. But in Linda's case, it's my commitments that are hanging us up. And that's just flat all there is to it. So I have to take responsibility for that. My rule of thumb for doing a collaboration is that first I won't do a collaboration with someone I don't think I'll enjoy working with. Secondly, I won't do one just to increase output. I will do one when there's a story that I've wanted to tell for forever and I don't have time to tell it by myself. That's really where Linda and I are. Although she's also covered by the third reason that I'll do a collaboration, which is that I won't do one unless I expect my collaborator to bring something to the story that I wouldn't have to put into it on my own. I'll do a collaboration when I expect to learn something or to teach something. And any writer, if he's honest, can always learn from any other writer, especially when you work together as intimately as you do in a collaboration. When John and I did the first of the Prince Roger novels, the March Up Country, I think he'd done Him Before Battle, and the second Post-Lean novel hadn't come out yet when Jim Bain asked me if I would be willing to do a collaboration with John. And John was a very, very, very gifted storyteller who had zip formal training as a writer. Now, John has a frightening learning curve, okay? It goes up very, very steeply. Well, in the first book, I was very definitely the senior partner. I did a lot of revision and rewrite and so forth. Okay, and the second book was really the first book divided into two, because we thought, oops, you know. John calls me up and he says, David. I said, yeah. He says, I got 340,000 words. And I said, good. He said, no, I'm only halfway through the plot outline. And I said, we may have to rethink this, John. You know. By the time we got to the third book, it was much closer to a partnership of equals. And by the time we got to the fourth book, it was flat out a partnership of equals. Now, in any good collaboration, one partner has to have the final edit authority responsibility in it, I think, so that it comes together in as seamless a whole as possible. And for the Prince Roger books, that's me. For the Honorverse books that Eric has collaborated with, that's me. For the 1632 universe, it's Eric. You know, and you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to let go and let whoever has that responsibility exercise it. Now, by the same token, the person who's exercising that responsibility has an obligation to be respectful of and thoughtful about the other partner in the project. And to bear in mind that, you know what, the reason there are two writers is because you wouldn't both have written this scene the same way. So the fact that, well, I don't like this, the way this scene was written, doesn't justify you in changing it if the way the scene is written works. Okay, your only justification for asking your partner to change something is because it doesn't work, not because, well, I would have done it differently. That is never a justifiable reason for overruling someone, in my opinion, even if you're the person with the editorial authority in a collaboration.